It was around 5:30 on a Sunday evening when Rachel walked into the house like nothing was wrong. She dropped her purse and keys on the entry table, never even looked my way, and strolled straight down the hallway toward her bedroom. I was sitting in the home office, right there in plain sight, but you'd think I was invisible. Honestly, that's how it had felt for a long time, like I didn't even exist in her world anymore. I got up quietly, grabbed her car key, and then took the spare key off her ring. I opened her purse, slipped out her phone, and went through her wallet. I took every dollar she had on her and all her credit cards. I even pocketed her driver's license. Then I returned to the office like nothing happened. 15 minutes later, Rachel came out of the bedroom dressed like she was heading to some club. Heels, short dress, full makeup, the whole deal. She finally noticed me then, but only barely, as she tossed her purse over her shoulder and reached for her keys. "I'm going out with the girls from work." "Don't wait up," she said, like I was supposed to just smile and wave. But I wasn't playing that game. "You're not going out with the girls," I said calmly. She didn't miss a beat. "Tom, how many times do I have to say it? You don't control me. I'm doing what I want." I stood up. "I'm not saying you can't go out with them. I'm saying you're not, because you're going to see your boyfriend. And you can quit lying to me. I'm not an idiot, Rachel." She froze for a second. Then she stormed into the office and stood toe-to-toe with me, her voice sharp. "Let's just be real, Tom. You've got two choices. Either you give me space and try to fix this marriage, or I'll file for divorce and you're out of my life. What's it going to be?" I gave her a smirk. "I'll take door number 3. She rolled her eyes. "There is no door number 3, Tom. Either accept that I've moved on, or deal with what's coming." I walked over and gently pushed her against the wall, not to hurt her, but to make a point. I took her wedding band and engagement ring off her finger, held them in front of her face, and said, "Here's your door number 3, Rachel. It's the front door. And when you walk out of it, that'll be the last time. No money, no house, no car, no daughter, nothing. You'll be gone for good." For the first time in years, she looked shaken. "You're dreaming, Tom. My lawyer is going to rip you apart. You'll be served by tomorrow, and then you'll see how this ends." I opened the front door and dragged her toward it, heels clicking like a warning bell. She screamed and cursed, but she didn't know how to handle it when I finally stood up to her. Once she was outside, I slammed the door and locked it behind her. I'd already changed the locks that morning. Leaning against the door, catching my breath, I made my first call to my daughter Lily, who's 19 and away at college. "Hey, sweetheart, it's Dad. Things have come to a head. Your mom's probably moving in with that guy she's been seeing. I just wanted you to hear it from me before she starts spinning her version of things. I've got recordings of our recent conversations and proof she's been cheating. I don't know how many times, but it's been going on for a while. I just want you to know the truth. This man she's with, he's not someone safe. I'll explain everything when you come home." Lily agreed to come back that weekend so we could talk in person. After we hung up, I made another call to Anna, our neighbor down the block. She's been a good friend through all this. "Anna, it's Tom. If that offer still stands, I'd really appreciate it. Can you come by in about an hour?" I did not give her the full story, just enough so she knew I needed some company. Rachel and I had married young, and before long, we had Lily. At first, it seemed like we had a good thing going. But over time, Rachel changed. She became cold, manipulative, and impossible to please. I bent over backward for her, hoping something would fix her problems, but she never met me halfway. By now, in our 40s, it had all come crashing down. I found out she was seeing a guy named Greg, a man with a temper. Once I accepted that our marriage was over, I actually felt relief. Truth is, I'd already been preparing for this for years. I had taken every bit of cash from the house, changed all the locks, made sure everything was set. Rachel always thought the little gadget I carried was an MP3 player. It was not. It was a voice recorder. I used it to document every ugly fight, every cruel word she ever spat at me. I knew I'd need evidence, and I wanted Lily and the world to know who Rachel really was. By Monday, I had a little celebration at work. In the break room, there was cake and a big banner that said, "Happy Divorce." When the process server showed up, a cheerful woman with a round face, she took photos with me for fun. One showed me kissing her cheek while she wore a party hat. Another had me feeding her a slice of cake. We laughed like old friends. That afternoon, I sent Rachel an email, attached with the party pictures. But I did not stop there. I included a couple more photos of me and Anna, now my roommate. We were laying in bed under the covers, smiling. On Anna's hand, plain as day, were Rachel's old wedding rings resting against my chest. About an hour later, Rachel called in a rage. "You piece of garbage. My lawyer's going to tear you apart when he sees those pictures. What the hell were you thinking?" I kept my cool. "Relax, Rachel. There's nothing in those pictures that would hold up in court. No nudity. No scandal. Just two neighbors having a little harmless fun. You should try it sometime." "I'm coming to the house tonight to get my things," she snapped. "If I'm not home, you won't be getting in," I told her. "I changed the locks. You've got until 6:45. Anna and I have plans at 7, and I'm not going to be late. Oh, and by the way," I added before hanging up, "last night was the most fun I've had in years. And tonight's already looking better." She called 5 or 6 more times, left some angry voicemails. I didn't pick up, but I listened to every single one. I figured Rachel, well, Ratch, as I'd come to call her by then, would eventually slip up and say something I could use. And sure enough, over the next couple of weeks, she gave me more than enough ammo. That Monday afternoon, around 4:30, I drove over to her job. I wanted to pull something quick and sneaky, so I got there before rush hour. I scoped the parking lot first. No security cameras. Perfect. I parked right next to her car and circled around it once, real casual. Then I bent down and snipped the valve stems off all 4 tires with my wire cutters. She wasn't going to be driving anywhere on time. Sure enough, she pulled up at the house around 6:35, clearly in a hurry. Looked like she hadn't come straight from work either. No surprise there. I'd already figured she was keeping clothes at Greg's place, her new boyfriend. Probably came from his place, thinking she'd slip in and grab something. I didn't answer when she banged on the front door, didn't even peek out. I had slipped out the back and gone over to Anna's place before she even got there. Later that night, I came home and found one of the front windows busted, a bit of blood smeared on the frame. I checked the porch cam, and there she was, Ratch, full of rage, swinging a tire iron and screaming threats. She cut herself trying to get in. But the new lock I'd installed, which needed a key on both sides, kept her out. Next morning, I filed for a restraining order. The papers were served that afternoon. She was officially banned from coming within 500 feet of me or the house. Not long after, she called furious. "You idiot! What the hell are you doing?" she shouted. Threats, swearing, the whole 9 yards. I recorded everything, of course. A few hours later, she called again. This time, calmer. She said she was sending her friend Lindsay over to pick up some of her stuff. That piqued my interest. If Ratch was desperate to get something out of the house, I needed to know what. I agreed to meet Lindsay the next evening at 5:30. I left work early that Tuesday and set up a small camera in the bedroom, linked to a monitor in my office so I could keep an eye on her. Lindsay showed up right on time. I greeted her politely, like everything was normal. She looked a little uncomfortable, but got straight to work, packing clothes into 2 black trash bags. Then she asked for a glass of water. I told her sure and headed to the kitchen, but not before checking the monitor. That is when I saw it. She pulled a shoebox out of Ratch's closet and slid it into one of the bags, just like that. Nothing to do with clothes. When I brought her the water, she rushed to finish up and asked if I could help carry the bags to her car. She insisted on taking the heavier one herself. That only made me more suspicious. Before we reached the door, I stopped her. "Is there something in that bag I should know about?" I asked, gently holding her wrist. Lindsay turned pale. She stammered that the shoebox just had some clothes Ratch needed. I opened it. The smell of old money hit me right away. Inside were stacks of $50 and $100 bills. "You're trying to steal from me," I said, standing between her and the door. No, it's not like that," she cried. "It's Ratch's money. She told me to grab it. I wasn't going to keep it for myself." I crossed my arms. "You came to pick up clothes, not a box full of cash. That's theft." Tears welled in her eyes. "Please, Tom, don't call the cops. I have kids, a husband. I'm not a thief, I swear." I let her sit down on the couch and think about what she'd done. Then I told her, "You've got one way to make this right. You go back to Ratch and tell her I caught you. And from now on, you tell me everything, what she says, what she does, especially anything about her and Greg. And you don't say a word about this to anyone. She nodded through the tears. She knew I had her. I had it all on video, and she understood what would happen if she didn't play along. After she left, I brought the shoebox of cash down to Anna's place. She agreed to hide it until I found a more secure spot. I figured out where it came from, too. Ratch's Aunt Doris, the miser in the family, had passed away a few months earlier and left Ratch everything. I knew about the cottage she inherited, but not the pile of cash. Looks like Ratch found it when she visited the property and decided to keep it quiet. That evening, Ratch called again. She was absolutely losing it. "That's my money, Tom. I want it back, right now." I stayed calm. I caught Lindsay trying to take some bills off my nightstand. I took it back. If there was money in a shoebox, I have no idea. Maybe she kept it. "You know, it's the money from Aunt Doris," she screamed. "Well, if you didn't report that inheritance on your taxes," I said, "and you didn't tell me about it, maybe we should bring in the IRS. Feel free to call the police, too." There was a long pause. Then she hung up. I'd hit a nerve. At that point, I knew she'd try to strike back. The restraining order kept her away from me, but I figured she'd try something else, like going after my car, just like I'd done to hers. So I got ready. I already had a dash cam, but I added another camera to the side of the house. It streamed live to my laptop. The next day, Wednesday, around noon, I checked the feed, and sure enough, there she was. She pulled into the driveway, jumped out of her car with a hammer, and went to work on my Toyota like she was in a rage. Windows smashed, panels dented, windshield shattered, and she was yelling like she'd lost her mind. I called 911. By the time she tried to leave, the police were waiting at the end of the street. With the video footage I gave them, they arrested her on the spot. She fought them too, which only added more charges to the list. As I hauled her away, I stood in the doorway and made sure she saw me. She looked desperate. I just watched in silence. That afternoon, her lawyer called me. He said there would be a court hearing first thing Thursday morning about the money I'd taken from our joint accounts. I showed up early. Ratch walked in right before the hearing started, flanked by her attorney, wearing that same smug expression. Her lawyer started in. "Your Honor, my client has been denied access to joint funds. Her husband drained the accounts after she filed for divorce. We're asking for an even split." The judge looked at me. "Mr. Mitchell, your response?" "Yes, Your Honor," I said. "My wife had been funneling money from our shared accounts into a private one for months while letting me cover every bill. What I withdrew was to balance out what I'd already paid, especially since she left to be with another man." Ratch jumped to her feet, yelling, "That's not true. He left me with nothing." Her lawyer yanked her back in her seat. I handed the judge a folder. "These are statements showing her salary and bonuses until 6 months ago, when they suddenly stopped hitting our account. I also have a call recording with her HR department confirming she changed her direct deposit." The judge flipped through the papers. Then he looked at Ratch. "Miss Mitchell, your lawyer says you were left with nothing, but this shows otherwise." Her lawyer scrambled. "Your Honor, regardless." The judge cut him off. "I do not appreciate dishonesty. Until the final divorce ruling, nothing changes. Mr. Mitchell is already covering household expenses. Case closed." Outside the courtroom, Ratch cornered me. Face red, fist clenched. "You're going to pay for this, Tom. I swear." I pulled out my phone. "You're violating the restraining order. One call and you're back in a cell. Want to test me?" She froze. I turned and walked away. That night, I didn't feel like heading to the usual bar. I needed a change of scenery. I ended up at a smaller spot on the other side of town, one where I'd met this guy named Ethan a while back. Funny enough, he was there again, sitting in his usual corner with a drink in hand. I walked over, gave him a nod. "Hey man, remember me?" He smirked a little. "Your name doesn't matter, friend." That was the start of one of the weirdest chapters of this whole mess. Ethan leaned back in his chair and shook his head with a tired grin. Still driving that busted old sedan. My wife ran off with her new fella and took the decent car. Left me with a rust bucket that don't even have air conditioning. Can't afford to fix it, either. That's when I got an idea. "What's your insurance situation, Ethan? Because if you're willing to play this right, I might be able to help you end up with something that has working AC." He leaned forward, curious. "I'm listening." "Okay, picture this," I said. You're cruising down 38th Street, minding your own business. Suddenly, a cat darts out into the road. You slam the brakes, and the lady tailing you, well, she's riding close enough that she smashes into your bumper. He raised an eyebrow. I kept going. She'll be going fast enough to total your car, but if you wear your seatbelt and keep your head on the headrest, you'll walk away fine. Then her insurance company covers everything, and next thing you know, you're driving something with cold air and fewer miles. He hesitated. What if she gets hurt? I'm not trying to mess up someone's life. I gave him a look. Ethan, this woman ain't innocent. She's cheating on her husband, been playing dirty for a while. There won't be any passengers in her car. You're not hurting anyone who doesn't deserve it. He chuckled. Man, I hate cheaters. And I really hate this car. All right, tell me what to do. So I laid it out. Tomorrow, 5 p.m., you park at 38th and Lessing. Look for a blue Miata pulling out of the lot. When you see it, ease out in front of her. She's the kind of driver who won't pass anyone, so just drive slow. Let her tailgate you for a block or two. Then, when the cat shows up, you brake hard. Call 911, mention some neck pain. They'll send a unit. And remember, we never spoke. I won't be back here. We don't know each other. Ethan raised his drink. Man, I'm colder than the air conditioning in my new ride. On Friday, I got home early. Lily had finished her classes and was coming back that evening. We sat down and had the talk I've been dreading, but also needing to have. I told her everything. The divorce, the lies, the recordings. I even played the clip of her mom, Ratch, saying I had two choices. Let her keep her affair or be erased from her life. Lily sat there, stunned. That's not the mom I know, she whispered. I nodded. I know, sweetheart. She's been hiding a lot. That's why I recorded things, to make sure you could hear the truth. I played more clips. Years' worth of shouting matches, manipulation, and cold-hearted digs. Lily couldn't believe it. She was quiet for a long time. Then she asked, who's the guy she's with? His name's Greg. And listen carefully, I do not want you near him. He's not a safe guy. If you meet your mom, do it in public, and keep something on you for protection. Just in case. She looked down, clearly shaken. I knew you and Mom were having problems, she said, but I never realized it was this bad. What happened between you two? I've been ready for that one. Marriage, I said, is all about balance. And there are 4 kinds of balance when it comes to who leads in a relationship. I laid it out for her. First, there's the type where neither partner takes charge. Nothing gets done. Then there's constant fighting, both people trying to lead, always clashing. Then there's the kind I hoped for. Equal partners, sharing responsibilities, working together. But your mom didn't want that. I leaned back in my chair. She expected a more traditional setup. Like her parents. Her dad took charge. Her mom went along. It worked for them. So Ratch expected me to do the same. But I wanted us to share the wheel. She saw that as weakness. She stopped respecting me. I paused to let it sink in. And when a woman doesn't respect her man, love doesn't matter. She treated me like an employee, told me how to do everything, even how to hold a wrench. I lost her respect, and she lost mine. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore. Lily nodded, listening hard. Ratch didn't want a partner. She wanted control. When I pushed back, she treated me like a rebellious teenager. I don't think she'll ever respect me again. This divorce, maybe it's my last shot at dignity. She stayed quiet, taking all in. I get it, Dad. You've been through hell. I'm proud of you for standing up to her. I smiled, even if it was a little bitter. Just remember this, I told her. Whatever relationship you build in the future, marriage, house, family, it all comes down to mutual respect. If that's gone, everything else falls apart. She nodded. I'll remember. Then my phone rang. Mr. Mitchell, this is Memorial Hospital. Your wife was in a car accident. My first thought? The setup worked. She's stable, the nurse said. Some bruises, broken wrist. She'll be staying overnight. Lily and I drove to the hospital right away. I let her go in first. She came back looking upset. I didn't ask what she said to her mom. I could only imagine. It was my turn. Ratch was in the bed, looking like she went 10 rounds with a truck. Bruised up, wrist in a cast. Well, you look like hell, I said. Rough week, huh? Lost your marriage, your house, your job's on the line, got slapped with a felony, totaled your car, and now here you are. She tried to put on that usual attitude. Screw you. I lean on the bed rail. Where's Greg? Oh, that's right. Probably busy with one of his other two girlfriends. You didn't know about them? Man, that's rough. You really thought you were his only one. Her face went pale. Hope you're good at sharing. Could be helpful in prison. She snapped. I'm not going to jail. I just chuckled. Really? You wrecked my car with a hammer, violated a restraining order. The district attorney's got everything. Photos, video. He's running for re-election. You're the perfect example to make. He's coming after you. She didn't say a word. Oh, and did you bother getting new car insurance when we separated? I took you off my policy. You kept your name on the Miata, but I bet you forgot to cover it. That totaled car still got 3 years of payments on it. And guess what? The hospital bills from this wreck? All out of pocket. You're off my health insurance, too. Her jaw dropped. Ambulance, x-rays, cast, the room you're lying in? That's going to cost you a small fortune. Hope Greg's got a good wallet, though I doubt he's going to be the one holding your hair back when you're sick. I started to leave. Oh, I added, maybe I should call Greg. Let him know you're free. He might be done with his other girl by now. I heard her sob behind me as I walked away. I didn't look back. I was walking up the path to my house when it happened. I've been half expecting some kind of stunt, but I didn't see it coming this time. Out of nowhere, a guy in a ski mask tackled me, knocked the wind clean out of my chest, and yanked my arm behind my back so hard I thought it might snap. Hand over the cash, he growled in my ear, and tell the district attorney to back off. I was pinned down, tried to catch my breath, my mind racing. But in my hand, I still had my car keys, and more importantly, the remote. I fumbled for the panic button and mashed it. My car alarm screamed to life. Porch lights lit up all along the street. Neighbors poked their heads out, curious and cautious. He slugged me again out of frustration, probably Greg, the lowlife, but with that much attention, he bolted before the cops rolled in. By the time the cruiser pulled up, he was long gone. None of the neighbors got a good look, so he slipped away into the night without facing the music. But the real gut punch didn't come until the next day. I sat down with Lily, figuring she needed to know what happened. But before I could finish, she cut me off. Dad, I didn't want to tell you, but Greg came after me too. My heart sank. I froze. What do you mean? Mom called me. She asked to meet up. Said she needed help. I agreed, but I told her I wouldn't go to their place. She didn't listen. She looked down, her voice shaky. When I got there, she told me to sit. Then Greg came out. He said since Mom was hurting and couldn't take care of him, it was my job now. Said she owed him, and I'd have to pay up. I felt rage boil up inside me like lava. What did you do? I asked, my voice tight. She clenched her fists. He grabbed my wrist and tried to drag me to the bedroom. But I had pepper spray. I got him right in the eyes. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. While he was screaming, I grabbed my bag and tried to pull Mom with me. But she wouldn't come. She ran to the bathroom to help him instead. She picked him over me. I felt sick. She tried to set me up with that monster, Dad, Lily said, voice thick with hurt. I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive her. Neither did I. I was pacing the house, fists clenched, thinking about the Beretta locked up in the bedroom. I won't lie. My mind went places it shouldn't. But Lily pulled me back from the edge. She reminded me that violence wouldn't fix anything. We made a pact. She wouldn't go anywhere alone until the trial was over. She'd carry protection. Stay alert. I felt a little better knowing she was on guard. But Greg wasn't finished. He thought he could scare me off. What he didn't know, I had a recording, Lily's account of what happened. I walked it straight to the district attorney. When I asked if I'd go easy on Ratch, maybe drop some charges, I said no. Absolutely not. She was under Greg's thumb, sure, but the only way to help her now was to pull them apart, forcefully if needed. The DA agreed. The case moved ahead. Still, I never let my guard down. My driveway was 10 miles from the main road, surrounded by woods. Every time I left or came home, I felt like a target. That Beretta stayed close, always riding shotgun. Then, one night, just days before the trial, I noticed a truck behind me. About 2 miles out. It was tailing me hard. Headlights blinding, way too close. Something was wrong. I grabbed my phone and started recording. Called 911. There's a pickup truck following me. Aggressively, I told them. It's dangerous. I need backup. I pushed the gas, climbed to 70. The truck stayed right on my tail. I could barely think. I reached over, pulled the Beretta into my lap. As I approached a bridge, that sick feeling hit me. The truck sped up and pulled alongside me, trying to shove me toward the edge. And that's when I saw her, Ratch, in the passenger seat. Eyes wide, face twisted. They were coming for me. I slammed the brakes. Tires squealed. I slid sideways toward the shoulder, just stopping before the car tipped down the slope into the creek below. I grabbed my phone, gun, and recorder and jumped out, heading for the shadows under the bridge. I crouched, breath shallow, hand on the grip of my pistol, heart pounding. Time crawled. Then I heard sirens. Finally, blue and red lights tore through the night as the cops boxed in the road. Greg tried to run, but was too late. They dragged both of them out, cuffed, and read them their rights. Attempted murder. I went home that night, but I didn't sleep. I stood in the shower for what felt like forever, letting the water wash away the fear. But it didn't work. The silver lining? With attempted murder on the table, the divorce proceedings became real simple. The judge sided with me. Ratch didn't have a leg to stand on. She gave up almost everything just to keep herself out of a deeper mess. At the sentencing, something strange happened. I stood up in court, and I spoke, not about the lies or the affair, but about the woman Ratch used to be, before she got tangled up with Greg, before she turned on everything we built. I told the court I'd be willing to forgive her someday. She didn't look at me, and I didn't look at her. Greg? He got the book thrown at him. Last I heard, he was serving time with a cellmate named Max, some lifer who doesn't take kindly to men like Greg. Guess karma's got a funny way of balancing things out. As for Ratch, she didn't walk free. She got a shorter sentence than Greg, sure, but the judge made it clear she'd do real time. No early release for at least 3 years. That was 4 years ago now, and just recently, she got out on parole. It's been about a year since Rachel got out. The district attorney's office let me know when she was released from prison, but she never reached out. Not to Lily, and certainly not to me. Honestly, I did not expect her to. At first, I thought I'd feel satisfied once she was behind bars. But as the months passed, that revenge I once savored started to taste sour. No matter what I did, I couldn't stop playing it all back in my head. Everything we went through, everything that led to the mess we found ourselves in. Then one night, for reasons I still can't fully explain, I picked up the phone and dialed the number for the rehab facility she'd been staying at. "Rachel," I said when they patched me through, "it's Tom. I've got something of yours and I want to return it." There was silence on the other end. I almost thought she'd hung up. "I'm talking about your shoebox," I added. "I'd like to give it back in person. Can we meet?" After another long pause, she finally said, "Where?" I gave her 2 options, a restaurant or my place. "Are you free Sunday?" I asked. She answered softly, "I'll be there. 2 o'clock. That Sunday, I found myself pacing the house, unsure how to get ready for something like this. What do you do when you're about to face the woman you once loved, the mother of your daughter, the same woman who tried to have you killed? In the end, I made lemonade, baked a batch of cookies. Something about the simplicity calmed me. When Rachel arrived, we didn't hug or shake hands, just a stiff hello. I nodded toward the office, where I'd set up everything. She looked different. Her hair was shorter, her skin pale. She wasn't wearing any makeup, and her face showed every hard year she'd lived. She looked like she'd aged 20 years instead of 10. I motioned to the drinks and snacks on the table. "Help yourself," I said. She shook her head, didn't touch a thing. "Well," I said, "try to ease the tension. If cookies and lemonade aren't your thing, I guess you're just here for the shoebox." Her eyes narrowed. She leaned back in the chair. "What's the catch, Tom? What do you want from me?" I held her gaze. "No catch. Everything's in there, except a few thousand. I gave that to Lily when she and her husband bought their house. My half. If you want, she can pay yours back over time." That's when I saw it, the flicker in her expression. She hadn't known. "She's married?" she asked, voice barely above a whisper. 2 years now, I said. "Her name's Emily. Your granddaughter, named after John's mother." Rachel's eyes filled with tears. She tried hard to keep them from falling, but she lost that fight quickly. "You haven't spoken to Lily, have you?" I asked gently. "That can still change, if you want it to. I can help, but it's got to come from you." She nodded slowly, wiping her face with the tissues I had waiting on the table. "If you're not in a hurry," I said, "I can catch you up on what's been happening." She didn't say no, so I kept going. "John's a good man. Works in information technology. Steady job, kind heart, good to Lily and the baby. They're doing great. Lily's a hell of a mom, Rachel. You'd be proud." I leaned back, took a breath. As for me and Anna, well, that didn't last. She was a chapter, nothing permanent. I date now and then, but it's nothing serious. I figured out I'd do better on my own. There was a long stretch of silence. I didn't expect her to fill it, so I did. "There's something I've wanted to say. You don't have to respond, but I need to get this off my chest." I looked her square in the eyes. "I hated you. I won't pretend otherwise. After the trial, I told myself I'd never forgive you. But as time passed, I got tired of carrying that bitterness around. It was eating me up." I paused. "So, even though you never asked for it, I forgave you. Not because you deserved it, because I needed to let go. I realize now that it wasn't all your fault. We stopped talking, stopped listening, and eventually we stopped being anything." Rachel stared down at the floor. Still nothing to say. "That's it," I said. "If you've got nothing to add and you're not hungry, I won't keep you." She stood and picked up the shoebox, heading for the door. Just as she reached it, I called out, "Rachel, one thing before you go." She paused, hand on the knob. "Back then, toward the end, you thought I was weak. You treated me like I didn't matter. I know that. I just wonder, do you still think I'm a pushover?" She turned slowly, her face unreadable. Her voice, when it came, was raw. "I hated you, Tom. I really did. I blamed you for everything. You were cold. You made me feel worthless. You wrecked my life." She paused. "But no, I don't think you're a pushover." She turned, opened the door, and walked out of my life for the last time.